Hello, and welcome to Career Bytes, a podcast and video series where I bring you the best resources, guidance, and real life advice to help you ace your career and ace your life. If you are a job seeker or are looking to pivot in your career, tune in to these episodes or leverage articles on our website at careeracers.com, where we offer tips, tricks, and tools to ace your career journey. I am your host, Polaki, and I'm excited to be with Jeff Perry today. Jeff is the founder of More Than Engineering and provides engineering and software professionals with professional coaching focused on leadership and mindset. Jeff also hosts the Engineering Career Coach podcast, which is published by the Engineering Management Institute. Welcome to Career Bytes, Jeff. I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
Glad to be here, Jay. Glad to talk with you.
Absolutely. So I'm going to begin by asking you the same dreaded interview question. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jeff.
Yeah, well, obviously, Jay, there's a lot of things that we could share, but I think for the sake of the listeners and the purpose of this podcast, just say that as you already mentioned, I'm a leadership and career coach. And one of the things that I try to do in my work that I think is really important in bringing to bear and bringing forward my experience as an engineer and technical professional myself, I focus mostly on engineers and technical professionals. And then I also try and do that in a more holistic way. So that sort of is some of the reason for the naming of my company of More Than Engineering, to say, yes, there's the technical side of it. We are engineers and technical professionals, but we need to look at the whole person. We are more than just that when we need to look at the whole person and personal development. And so I work on things like mindset and clarity and other things to make sure that we're looking at everything as we try and progress in our careers and in our lives. And so it's work I love to do, and it's a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Well, if anything, over the past year, our lives have definitely changed, and so has our work life. And, that whole self is so much more important today. How do you think the pandemic has changed our career journeys?
Yes, so there's a lot of different aspects to that. I think it's caused some people to take a step back and to consider where they really want to go, the things that are most important as they consider maybe their mortality with the virus or things going on. Consider how they want to stay connected with people, they've had to give up some things that they were really engaged in, and so now they need to find other ways to grow and develop and engage with people in society. And so it's caused people to take a step back in a lot of ways in their careers and say, what do I actually want now? For some people, that's been forced on them if they got laid off or companies downsize or something. But other people are also just doing that intentionally on their own in trying to figure out what is next. And so I think that's one of the most exciting things in my work, is to see people take an intentional approach to trying to figure out where they really want to go rather than just accepting what comes their way in their careers.
Absolutely. And as a career coach, you've probably been using a lot of technology to help your mentees. What have you been leveraging? What types of tech?
Yeah, so obviously video talking and communication platforms like Zoom and others that I utilize in my coaching practice and some group coaching activities that I do. I'm a big believer in LinkedIn when it comes to career transitions. It's kind of a nice way to build out a personal brand with regards to your career, and also a fabulous way to network. I think you and I originally connected over LinkedIn, and so it's a great place to start conversations and then move to a more personal place because there's just so many people, and people are there to connect. And also, it's cool to see, in my focus in working with engineers and technologists, there are many new technologies that are continuing to grow and expand in their adoption. And so there's new opportunities in the career space for people in those areas. And so there are people making shifts in some of those things as the need for them as we accelerate this digital transformation as a society, that people are able to see some opportunities there.
Wonderful. Well, as you know, searching for a new job is one of the most exhausting and stressful things one can do in life. And when on the job hunt, mindset is everything. So, what's one piece of
Mm.
advice you have for folks who are looking for a new position virtually in the midst of this pandemic?
Well, I think you said it great there, Jay, that mindset can be everything. The first module in my career transitions course that I put people through is on mindset, and I do some mindset assessments, and we do some work around that, and we talk about that because I'm a huge believer that mindset fuels our behavior, which fuels the results that we get, and that's a mindset with regards to how we approach the challenges that we come across and the opportunities that we see, and sometimes able to shift challenges into opportunities in our lives, but also every single person that we interact with along the way. And so, really utilizing that to our advantage and trying to grow with how we think and believe about ourselves. Because in order to make this transition that people are moving through, we have to believe in ourselves first before we can expect someone else to believe in us and take a chance on us, right? And so that's a huge piece that we work on. There's so many other things, but that's probably what I'd leave you with on the mindset front.
Wonderful. And specifically, we are using a lot of technology as job searchers in this new world of work. What do you think we can do to prepare ourselves for video interviews and also the video resume? How do you think we can best articulate our personal brand on a video resume?
Yeah, so I think this is a great opportunity. So first of all, we can be connected with people and look at jobs and opportunities a lot easier without being local to that area and the expectation to go into the office, right? Many companies are hiring remote workers more often, or just being willing to consider people who are further away because they are just accessible through technology as someone who is only 5 or 10 miles away. And so, as far as preparing for these, I think practice, is a classic. We need to practice. We need to prepare stories that we want to share that show the results that we can deliver. It's really about connecting when it comes to interviews, the value and the skills and the experience that we have, and connecting that with the needs of the company, with the needs that the reason why they're trying to fill that job. And so, if we can do all we can to prepare and understand about the company, about the job, and about the people who are going to be in those interviews, then we can do our best to craft our own stories to connect with what they would uh, most need to know about us to make the best decision. And going back to the mindset idea that we talked about, when we think about interviews, it's not just about showing off about how amazing we are. We want to go in with the mindset that we are trying to help the people who are interviewing us to make the best decision. And hopefully, the best decision is us. And we want to do our best to communicate that we might be, but we are trying to help them be successful. And if we are the right fit, we want to help them be successful by choosing us to fill that role so that we can go in and do a great job and fill a need in their company. Right? And so it's a little bit of a mindset shift for a lot of people going into interviews, but practice, preparation, and that mindset can really help us do that successfully.
Great insights. Thank you. So the pandemic, has kind of also shifted the way we onboard our employees and the way
Mm.
employees come into our organization. So on the flip side of things, how best can new hires prepare themselves for a virtual onboarding experience that creates lasting connections in their life and work in 2021?
Yeah, so I loved how you asked about that idea about lasting connections, and it really is about that. Like, even though we can't necessarily be in person with each other as we're doing this onboarding experience, it's still about connecting with the people that we're going to be interacting with. And I think one of the great things that people can do as they go into a new job opportunity and a new job experience is to focus on just getting to know the people that they're going to be interacting with, not just what their job roles are, which is important as we figure out how we impact, but understanding them in a little bit of a deeper level. And so I love kind of the old mantra from Stephen Covey, who talks about seek first to understand and then to be understood. as we figure out who we're going to be interacting with and impacting in our work, we want to understand those people as deeply as possible. So going in with just the hope to ask questions and to get to know people as we start that conversation is going to build a connection first, and then that working relationship will continue to grow over time. And another thing is just to, just be a sponge for learning, and recognize that when we connect with people, one of the great ways that we can validate that relationship is to respect what they have to share with us rather than thinking that we know everything, and learning from the expertise of others, being willing to ask questions, not just getting stuck because we have to. We're in a new situation, we're a new organization or company, and there's a lot of things that we won't know. And so being willing to raise our hand and ask questions, and be vulnerable with people as we continue on that journey is actually going to help build those relationships as much as we can. And then finally, just I talked about a little bit before, but focusing on the impact, how we impact other people, not just how we interact, but how we impact them. So when we get down to our work, we're focusing on the most important things that can help the whole team be successful.
Wonderful. So that brings us to the question connection section of our conversation, where you get to connect with our audience. So here's a question coming your way about how you have connected with folks this past year, and who is one connection you would recommend in the coaching arena that other folks in our audience will benefit from learning from them and from following them online?
Yeah, so I've really benefited a lot from my new relationship with Anthony Fasano, who's the founder of the Engineering Management Institute. He's the person I host the podcast for, the Engineering Career Coach podcast. And I've been able to work with him and collaborate with him in a number of ways. And whether you're an engineer or technical professional or not, Anthony shares a lot of great insights and things on multiple YouTube channels and podcasts, and different resources through his platform. And so would definitely, especially engineers, encourage them to reach out and connect with Anthony and some of his platforms there.
We'll connect his profile link in the show notes for the audience as well. So thank you. So who's one person in the career coaching industry, again, who's probably hosting one of these great podcasts or vodcasts like us, that you think we should all be listening to learn from?
Yeah, so another good friend, and again, I'm going to use another person who's kind of focusing on the engineering industry. I have a good friend who I've also built a relationship with over the last year or so, named Pat Sweet. And he's run a blog for a long time called the Engineering and Leadership Blog. And he's turned it into a podcast, and he shares some great episodes from various industry leaders, and some just about himself and topics that he's passionate about. And I've really enjoyed listening to some of the stuff that he's been putting out, specifically to help engineers grow in their leadership and project management and productivity. And again, whether you're an engineer or not, you can take some great learnings from that. So the Engineering and Leadership Podcast.
Wonderful. And we'll link that in the show notes as well. What's your favorite LinkedIn Learning or e-learning webinar series for career professionals seeking career growth?
Yeah, so I recently went through one myself to learn for myself, and also how I can better help some of my clients, on personal branding by Chelsea Cross. It's one that's been that's pretty popular, and one of the most well-known. If you go search personal branding on LinkedIn, it comes to the top. But I thought she did a great job of moving through the process of helping you uncover how to present really who you are to other people, and build that over time, and some great social media engagement ideas, and different things that she shared. So I thought she did a great job.
Wonderful. And we'll link that also in the show notes. So I know you give back to your community in a number of ways. And, especially this past year, giving back and an attitude of gratitude has become so important, and it should be, I think, followed by everyone across the globe, right? How do you enjoy giving back to the career coaching community, to the career professional development community?
Yeah, so there's a number of things I do. The podcast I run, I feel like, is a way of giving back and sharing with the community for sure. I try and be really active on LinkedIn to share with things, and then also in my personal community. I try and reach out and connect and give opportunities to speak for new professionals and students at universities and things like that. Speaking for an organization called Tau Beta Pi, which is for engineers and a lot of a lot of students and some of my local universities that are close to me. Have an initiative that I do on LinkedIn that I just started a few weeks ago called 3 on Thursday, where I'm trying to share 3 new people that I've met who I'm trying to help grow their own exposure, who need some help in the career space. And whether or not they're working with me, they're people that I want to help and get their names out there. But really, Jay, I think that in the career coaching space, our whole job is a way to help and give and serve people. We're helping people make transformations, and seeing people change and improve is amazing, which is one of the reasons that I got into doing this work in the first place.
Well, thank you for all the work that you're doing. I connected with you because of the work that you're doing in the community. So I really, really appreciate what you're doing, and continue to do what you're doing because it's much needed, and especially in the engineering field. So thank you for being on our show today as well. And if our audience would like to connect with you, what's one way for them to connect with you online?
Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the easiest way. You can email me at jeff@more-than-engineering.com, or check out some of my free resources. I've got a whole program called the Engineering Career Accelerator Program. You can see that at engineeringcareeraccelerator.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for tuning in today, audience, and I hope to bring you more such global career coaching stories. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Thank you.